2004 saw the premiere of The Passion of the Christ, a movie that not only revolted its viewers, but became a culture in itself. The film is about the last 12 hours in the life of Jesus Christ, from his betrayal in Gethsemane to the moment he was nailed on the cross. With its uncut and tragic portrait of the inner suffering of Jesus, the movie ignited a firestorm worldwide in both support and condemnation, characterized by an extreme level of violence, religion, and other issues associated with it. And now, even after more than 2 decades, the audience most anticipates the next chapter, The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, which is a sequel that promises to explore even more the resurrection of Christ and possibly life after death issues. It's easy to see that a number of factors have a reason why, despite the hit of the initial picture, there were talks of a sequel quite soon after the release of The Said. However, for the next few years, the expectations on what could be seen in the next part of the story being rused to the level of intolerable, directed by Mel Gibson. The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, the working title of the sequel, is said to cover the period from the crucifixion to the resurrection of Christ, a time which, to a majority of Christians, is quite essential in theology owing to Christ's harrowing of hell. Perhaps it is possible for something in that frame to remain a mystery. However, there is one thing that can be stated with certainty. A sequel is being made, and it's church-approved. It believes it can go on and outdo even more of Gibson's biblical storytelling. In 2016, screenwriter Randall Wallace, who had collaborated with Gibson on Braveheart before, announced that he had been working on a script for the sequel. Wallace wished to elaborate on the tale, asserting that the point of resurrection was not only the death of Christ, but also the beginning of the entire new phase of existence. His statements indicated that the plot of the sequel would be even bigger than the previous release, which only scratched the surface of the spiritual awakening of the Christ who rose from the dead and the holistic effect it had on the very early followers of Christianity. By 2020, Jim Caviezel, who was Jesus in the first film, confirmed that the script was ready and announced that this new film will be the biggest film in world history. Fast forward to 2024. Even though it has been confirmed that the project has been delayed, some significant updates have started to be released. As confirmed by Gibson's public relations officer, Alan Nerob, the process of looking for locations has already begun. This was the first sign of news in years, assuring that there is a sequence of events ongoing pre-production, but no specific one on when shooting will start. Earlier on, it had been suggested the film was targeted for a 2024 premiere, but that target seems to have been shifted to 2025, with many guessing that should filming begin at a reasonable time, the movie might be out by 2026. The forthcoming installment of The Passion of the Christ Resurrection will integrate some essential cast members from the previous project. Expect Jim Caviezel to get back to his position of Jesus Christ, a casting selection wired for much thrill. Caviezel's endeavor in the primary edition would be both physically and emotionally exhaustive, signifying that a sequel would seek nothing less than an intense resolve. Aside from Caviezel, Maia Morgenstern is expected to reenact her character as Jesus' mother Mary, as well as Francesco DeVito, who will reprise his role as an apostle of Jesus, Peter. It has also been suggested that Christo Gikov, who played the part of John, may appear again, but that news is not confirmed as fact yet. Notably, Resurrection also possesses a rather tantalizing aspect in relation to what it may investigate thematically and narratively. Many have speculated that the film will not simply show the rise of Jesus Christ, but delve into the period of 3 days between his death and resurrection, which has always piqued the interest of theologians and believers as well. This, the story proposes, is about Christ going to hell, something imagistic and dramatic in vision in some Christian faiths. The harrowing of hell is a crucial event in that it occurred when Jesus is said to have gone into hell in order to reclaim the souls of those who were good but had died before his death, glorified on the cross in readiness for their eternal entry into heaven. It is in this mystical and supernatural aspect that the Passion of the Christ Resurrection may greatly deviate from the former. Gibson has suggested that the storyline of the sequel will deal with unseen realities and will therefore be able to mix together the historical and the supernatural elements of faith in a way that will surpass retelling the events of the Bible. The other world, the mystical and the spiritual that Gibson is talking about, could give the audience an interesting impression of the events around Jesus' resurrection, probably looking into what went on both physically and spiritually during the 3 days. Gibson's passion for this project is palpable. Recently, he granted an interview in which he addressed the intention standing behind this sequel. He made it very clear that it wasn't merely a continuation of the first movie, but a deeper and broader portrayal of what happened in both the spiritual and the historical sense. It's not just that there are events within those 3 days, it's that there is that entire scope of what is, the spiritual world and everything that happened in there, Gibson said. His words imply that the movie will not be limited to only portraying the physical aspect of the resurrection, and will introduce the ideas of internal struggles within the heavens and battles in the heavens, as well, in order to increase the stakes and the visual appeal of the film. This undertaking, however, cannot be concluded without outlining the challenges that were faced throughout the course of rendering it into production. The initial installment of the series was highly controversial, with critics labeling it as far too violent with anti-Semitic hints. Such issues, along with Gibson's own scandals, were the reason why the production of the sequel took a lot of time. However, a number of controversies surrounding the making of The Passion of the Christ, which employed palpable imagery and constructed instead of deconstructing, received narratives about Jesus and appealed to many people, including most of the evangelical Christians in the audience. Given this same audience as the central target demographic for the sequel, Gibson seems ready to please even this section of the audience, and for that matter, to do more than that with a movie that will not only continue the narrative of the previous movie, but also enhance its scope in all dimensions, theological and philosophical, such as the first volume did. Jim Caviezel's involvement in faith-oriented projects, particularly in the production of the 2023 film Sound of Freedom, is another critical issue that affects the production of The Passion of the Christ Resurrection. The picture he has recently been involved in that got released is not without its own share of controversies. It, however, performed well at the box office, and this shows that there are still many viewers ready to watch the movies that contain a lot of faith content. Consequently, the fact that Caviezel will play Jesus once again serves the two purposes of interest and expectation, since the character is one who reputedly gives a very impressive performance. As production ramps up, how Gibson and his team execute the visual and thematic aspects of the film will be among the elements to keep an eye on. The brutality in which the first film depicted Jesus' pain was among the many characteristics that define the film. However, the second film promises to be broader and more breathtaking. Well, that's it for today. Let us know what you think by sharing your views in the comment section below. For now, make sure that you like our video, subscribe to the channel to get updated, and do not forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching the video. See you at the next one. Stay healthy.